the beers last night, one of the chaps was like, yeah, but that just shows that people aren't actually looking for bugs. Well, it's nonsense. This is Microsoft. Find an O-Day in SQL Server 2005, and you'll be able to sell it to iDefense for £100,000 probably, So people are looking for flaws in Microsoft SQL Server. It's just that they are so few and far between. And SQL Server 2008, been around for as long as Oracle 11G Release 1, 0 security flaws. So again, I think Microsoft have to be applauded on that score. Not so great on IE, I guess, at the moment, but definitely brilliant work done with the SQL team. So context established, giving Oracle their pat on the back and saying, well done, Oracle, you have made vast improvements. There is still obviously a bit of a way to go. So let's look at some of these new flaws and ask the question, why are these flaws in the code, and what can be done to improve their processes to make sure Oracle 11H or whatever it happens to be, when that comes out, has, again, 35% fewer than 11G Release 1. So within Oracle, there is a virtual machine, a Java virtual machine, and Oracle term it Aurora. And the surrounding infrastructure behind the way they implement that virtual machine, I've spent the past few months looking at basically to find holes in there and have a good poke around in there. Now, as part of an upgrade, if you're upgrading one database server to another version, there are some tools available to allow you to do that, part of the data pump suite of tools. And it's installed by default, and one of these packages is known as DBMS JVM experms, export permissions. And that has a procedure called import JVM perms. Now what that does basically is we provide it a list of permissions, and it basically updates the Java policy table, i.e. the policy table is where the security permissions for certain Java actions are stored basically. So if we want to read and write to the OS, files and so on, we need an entry in this policy table to allow us to do that. Or if we want to execute arbitrary OS commands, we have to have an entry in this policy table. Now, the thing is, obviously being able to execute arbitrary OS commands or read and write to files, that's a bad thing. So by default, Oracle doesn't allow users, low privilege users, to do that kind of stuff, as they should. That's expected. But there's a flaw there. When they ship this package, basically, they've given public the execute permissions on it. Execute permission on it. So that means public can execute this package, provide their own permissions, and have the Java policy table updated. And yeah, I'll show you this rather than whittle on about it. I'll do the demo. So the user we're going to be attacking from is called Gremlin, and help if I could spell. And if I show you what they've got, can people see what I'm typing on the screen back here? Is the font big enough? Yeah. Select star from session privs. As you can see, I've only got create session privileges. I can't create procedures, can't create tables, can't do anything other than simply connect to the database server. Session roles, no rows selected. Gremlin has not been assigned membership of any roles. So they're as lowly as they can possibly get, basically. This is a user with pretty much zip permissions. So I'm now going to log in as sys and show you that Gremlin has no Java permissions specifically for him on the DBA Java policy view. That view basically just points to a table called Java $policy $. If you're interested, here we go. Java $policy $. So this here is this is the table where the actual information is stored, and the view that accesses that is DBA Java policy. Now, I'm going to log in as Gremlin and grant myself these permissions to execute an arbitrary OS command using this dbms java perms, export perms package. So I'll quickly cut and paste it and describe what I'm doing. Is there a laser pointer? Let me see. Right, excellent. So here, we're basically creating a cursor for ourselves and selecting the entries that we need basically to go into the policy table. So we want the IO file permission on all files, and we want the execute, okay? Because we're basically setting it up so that we can execute at some point an arbitrary OS command. And once we've done that, we execute the query, fetch it into this policy here, and import the policy executing here, dbms java export perms, import the Java permissions that we've just set up here. And once that's done, obviously it says PL SQL procedure successfully completed. So now let's log back in as sys and actually see if we've got those Java permissions. Okay, so you can see now that previously we didn't have the, Gremlin didn't have the permission, but now he does. He can execute any file he wants on the file system. That is if he can find a way, of course, to break out of the database server and execute commands, because remember, he's only got the create session privilege. Well, is there a way? Rhetorical question. Of course there's a way, because it's Oracle. They always provide us the way. Running arbitrary OS commands. So he has the relevant permissions now, but he doesn't have the create procedure privilege. So if he did, they could just simply do a create Java source named whatever and write Java directly into into the database, wrap it around a PL SQL procedure and execute the OS command that way. But he doesn't have create procedure privileges, so he's stuck. But is there an extant Java class that will allow a given user to execute arbitrary commands? So the Aurora basically is one big zip file, and it all gets unzipped, and there's a whole load of jar classes. Who's heard of JAD at all? It's like a Java. Okay, so using JAD basically you can get the clear source code back out from that. And there's a class called wrapper, where if we look through it here, there's a method main that takes string arguments and passes the arguments to this parseargs launcher, and down here we get this runtime.gettime.exec.cmd. So this basically, when we execute the main method, will take the user's argument, pass it to this launcher, and execute this OS command basically. So let's reconnect as Gremlin. And execute a command. Before I execute it, let's show there's dir out.lst. There's no file called out.lst. What I'm going to do here is this package, this package here, dbms Java, has a function called runJava. And what runJava does basically, it takes the name of a Java class and executes its main function and passes it whatever input you pass it. And the specifics are, it has to be the main function. In other words, if the Java class doesn't have a main method, then this runJava would fail. And it also has to have a specific method prototype and so on. But luckily enough, well, unlucky enough for Oracle, this wrapper class has exactly the what we need to actually pass it to this runJava. So this basically is our attacker using this dbms Java package as a harness to get through to run an OS command. So hit enter. Looks like nothing has happened, but the file has now been created. What we've done there is basically launched the command interpreter cmd.exe, passed it the /c argument. That means basically run a single command, dir, redirect the output to this file out.lst. We could do whatever we want.